California APCO. We're here. We're a specialty consulting firm, the Spectrum firm, with a primary service providing FCC licensing. We've got over 85 years of combined service. We've been with APCO for nearly 40 years, almost 20 years with the Spectrum firm. And then prior work with a large manufacturer that I worked with close to 40 years. CPRA member for many years, a NAPCO member just recent. I'm on the Commercial Advisory Council and the Historical Committee. I've been extremely impressed with the California APCO people and how they partner and the inclusion and culture that they have, especially on how they set apart to work with their commercial members. So you want us to succeed together, and it shows, and we thank you for that. Getting a lot of those slides here. I don't know why this is locking up, but for some reason my presentation's locking up. I'm going to go out here and come back because we're going to talk about FCC licensing. Our next slide is why it's important. So why is the licensing process important? You have to have an authorization from the FCC to operate your radio systems in most frequency bands. We assist primarily with land, mobile, and microwave licensing. And we can't stress enough that planning in advance is critical to a successful outcome. It could take many months, and there are a lot of variables. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So make sure you plan, and plan. Critical components include knowing the system requirements, RF engineering, and to do the system design and provide technical contours that are going to be needed along the way, as well as administrative data to file with the FCC. We talked about planning months in advance. If you can allow 6 to 9 months on an average, that would be ideal. There are other variables that could decrease this time frame for processing or increase the time frame. So start to finish depends on the frequency band, frequency congestion in the area, whether existing licensees affect the channel options that you're looking at in an area, and if you have to provide consent letters from incumbent licensees. There may be a need to re-engineer the system to keep your system and service contour to the minimum needed using directional antennas, and possibly multiple letters of consent. We've seen the process go quicker, and we've also seen it go longer. The FCC processing time for applications that require engineering review is currently 4 to 5 months. So you can see why the planning is important. We received some recent requests for people who have CARE Act funding that goes away at the end of the year, possibly. And they just contacted us last month. And you can see, we're just a few months from the end of the year. So, that's really important. There are ways, there are other ways to plan, but, it's just critical. They're critical to get involved. So the filing process, there are a number of variables that impact that process and the timing to get through all aspects of what's needed on the front of a project. Timely responses to requests for information are key. And then there's always a review and approval process that's critical to ensure accuracy. Human error comes into effect. We're dealing with lots of data and lots of numbers, and it's just very important to have an extra set of eyes. You also may need to supply contour maps or technical showings, and we can assist with that process as well. Work with professionals who know the system and the process. That's important. There are a number of different risk factors as well. It's important to mention that ordering equipment ahead of having an FCC license is very risky. It's very, very risky. There are points along the way that are less risky for making this decision, but the best scenario is to have the final license authorization in hand. The FCC does allow for conditional licensing, and you can go on the air in most cases after the application is on file for 10 business days. It's called conditional licensing, and there are some exceptions to that rule if there's an FCC rule waiver, if you need you're looking at a national environmental protection area in a few states, you would not be able to do that, but in most instances you can. And a conditional license or a temporary license does not guarantee that you'll get the permanent station authorization because it still has to go through a review process at the FCC. something out of here. So let us help you. We have, again, been in this business for a lot of years. We have worked through probably just about every scenario you can imagine, and we're here to help you throughout that whole filing process. As it relates to spectrum services available to you, we offer a variety of frequency management options that include research and identification of channels, FCC licensing, regional planning preparation, and filings, as well as other related services. We help our clients determine what's needed to support their communications need related to frequency requirements. Items such as frequency availability, alternate spectrum identification options, project management throughout the entire process, from identifying steps needed to pursue the channels, providing a project timeline, interface with vendors, engineering firms, frequency coordinators, and the FCC are various forms of consultation provided by us. We also will help interface with incumbent licensees as another form of consultation, as well as doing on-site audits and spectrum fingerprinting. The on-site services include auditing the transmitter location to obtain technical data for the FCC licensing process, comparing license data versus actual data, and determine interference signals in the band at any given time. And we will provide reports for you on any of those. In addition to identifying additional frequency options, we provide a number of different research options that include assistance in auditing licenses, identification of co-channel or adjacent channel licensees that affect your frequencies and sites, contour analysis, and providing details related to a client's spectrum holdings. The FCC licensing work includes preparation, filing, and tracking of applications, a license monitoring and renewal program that tracks and processes renewals, construction notifications, as well as providing a reconciliation report throughout the year. FCC rule waivers, generally we work on routine ones, but we also work with FCC law firms if they are non-routine waivers. Temporary authorizations, they fall into this critical support function as well. Our FCC licensing supports the array of spectrum management services that you may need. This ranges from pursuing various spectrum of identification options and following the applications through frequency coordination and through the FCC. We're here to help you in any of these areas. We'd like to think of the spectrum firm as your industry resource for all your spectrum and licensing needs. We look forward to talking with you more about your specific organization and its spectrum licensing needs. And feel free to come to the meeting room and have a conversation with us, or here's our contact information for reaching out to us in the future. We're here when you need us. So now I'm going to segue back off of this presentation to Q&A. Not sure if I can see that here at the same time.
And if you want to ask some questions, be sure to unmute yourself.
Back in here. Any questions? Any specific scenarios you'd like to address?
Hey, Tina, this is Chris Lopez.
Hey, Chris.
Hey there. What is frequency fingerprinting?
Spectrum fingerprinting is where we send somebody actually out to the site, and they will take a look and monitor the frequency activity in the area for any given amount of time. Usually it's a 24-hour period at each site, and it will document and report any activity on a band and on specific frequencies. But I can get you more information on that too if you like. I could bring our technical support folks on if you have any.
I wasn't familiar with the term, so thank you.
Yeah, we're hearing more about that. People are showing more interest in that here in the last probably year or two. So we've partnered with someone who will help us with that.
Good,
And,
thank you.
yeah, we've actually had several go forward and very successful. So pleased to be able to offer that service. Thanks for asking, Chris.
Yep.
Anybody else? I see a couple customers on here. people we've been working with. Just saw Don Root come and go.
I got another question for you.
Yes, please.
When it comes to licensing voice versus data, are the processes basically the same?
They are. Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Good question, though. Several people on the line here who also do spectrum management and licensing for their agencies. Anything you care to add? Or any thoughts to share? All right. Well, we appreciate the opportunity. And Larry, again, great job. Give everybody our best. And we appreciate, look forward to the rest of the conference here.
Thank you, Tina. Perfect timing too. Like just in time to get ready for the next round.
Okay. Sounds good, everybody. See you at the rest of the conference. Take care.
Geocom will be next in this classroom in 3 minutes.
Awesome. Take care all.